Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl News. My name is Brian, and this moment captures not just the iconic nature of Trump, but the moment where he renames the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. There's a lot to unpack here. Now let's dive in.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, sir.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Are you good? You good? Yes.
Are you all set? Yep. You know, we're flying over right now. We're flying over a thing called the Gulf of America. And I'm signing a proclamation, and perhaps you could define that.
This is a proclamation declaring today, February 9th, 2025, as the first ever Gulf of America Day. This follows the President's executive order issuing a name change from the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
And we're flying right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. That's a good Isn't that nice? You know, what about make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go. So this is a famous pen now, and we'll put it with something. I'll ask you to do whatever you think we should do with it, Mr. Secretary. Do you want to talk about, Doug, Secretary of the Interior, and also working with Chris Wright on extracting vast amounts of oil and gas and making our country rich? Would you like to say something, Doug?
Well, with the Gulf of America, this is a historic day. We want to thank President Trump. His executive order is what set this in motion. We signed a secretarial order as Secretary of Interior directing the U.S. Geologic Survey, who is responsible for the database, which is the Geographic Names Informational System. And so just prior to this signing, if you will, the button was pushed. It became official with this proclamation to call today Gulf of America Day. But now it's going out. As we're sitting here right now, our team is calling all the map providers, so Google Maps, Apple Maps, all the map people. That change will take effect this afternoon to Gulf of America. So again, fantastic. Thank you, President Trump, for setting this all in motion with your executive order. It's an exciting, fun day, and great to do this as we're flying over the Gulf of America.
We thought it would be very appropriate. Catherine, thank you very much for being here.
So happy
a
to
very
be here.
important part of his life. And who knows what would have happened to it without you. It might not have been good. Here you go. Okay.
Have you talked to Mexico about this? They have
Actually, interestingly, I've never spoken to him about it. It was our call, and I have not spoken to him about. I've spoken to him about many other things, but I haven't really talked to him about this. They have never brought it up. I'm a little surprised at that, but they've never brought it up.
Oh, man, this is classic Trump, and everything was orchestrated in perfect order. Like the moment that he was introducing the idea, right before he signs it, and right after his aide was able to talk about it, the pilot tells everyone on board what I believe is Air Force One to look over your shoulder. You are officially in international waters over the recently renamed Gulf of America. And y'all, I'm here for it for a whole multitude of reasons. So let's actually just start with the historical aspect of it. This isn't some frivolous name change that says, my country's better than yours. I actually think that this opens up the name even larger. For instance, just saying that it's the Gulf of Mexico is a little bit limiting. It's like saying that the Sea of Japan only belongs to Japan, even though it borders North Korea, South Korea, China, and of course, Japan. Then, of course, you have the South China Sea, or the Sea of Arabia, the Bay of Bengal. I could go on in these names, but ultimately the idea that it just belongs to one nation, No, that's dumb. See, calling it the Gulf of America is actually a nod not to us who constantly call ourselves Americans, because who wants to call ourselves United Statesers, okay? That doesn't just roll off the tongue. So this name actually goes back to a guy named Amerigo Vespucci, who was an Italian explorer who basically had to tell everyone that Columbus, while he did find new land, he did not find India. He did not find the East Indies. He found the West Indies. He found the Caribbean. He found an entirely new continent, and we call that the Western Hemisphere, and that's why the entire hemisphere, both North and South America, are called the Americas. They're named for this dude because he was able to figure it out. So I think that this is actually a great name change just on its face, and furthermore, like I said, the orchestra going behind it, making sure that everything was in its place, was just in perfect unison. This is unusually good, even by political theater standards. I mean, there are studios that wish that they could move as efficiently as this team just did here. And so that's the fun part. That's the historical part. But if you notice who's in the background, that's Doug Burgum. At least I believe that's his name. Burgum, something along those lines. That's actually tough for me to pronounce. But he's the governor of North Dakota, or at least the former governor. And the reason why he's tapped to be on this plane with Donald Trump is because just down the Mississippi River, there's a massive amount of oil refineries. As a matter of fact, the joke goes that from New Orleans all the way to Galveston is the carcinogenic coast. That's because after Hurricane Katrina, the United States realized that it's probably a good idea to put a whole bunch of oil refineries on our coastline there, just away from the levees. That way it's avoiding the flooding. And so that actually provided a multitude of jobs for people in South Texas and, more importantly, Louisiana, who had just lost it to Hurricane Katrina. And so that's where a lot of our oil goes to be refined. And so that's why every now and then when there's a hurricane coming through, gas prices don't skyrocket, but they jump up a little bit. But Burgum, who has been up in North Dakota, has been pumping out the oil in the shale oil fields up there. And that area has just been rich with oil and has been a boom town for the past 20 years, causing North Dakota, and I'll actually use a personal anecdote. I was a park ranger out there for one summer, and that was a lot of fun. But a couple of years before that, they were considered a dark sky park. But because of all the oil that was being pumped out, and because when you pump oil out of the ground, you've got to let some of the gas a place to go, so you light that on fire while you're pumping the oil. And so that actually turned the dark sky park, it got to a point where you could still see a wonderful part of the night sky, but it lost its designation because of all the light pollution. Now, it's better than the suburbs and definitely better than any city that you're going to go to, but you could notice that there's a bit of a difference. But why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up because of so much oil that got pumped out of that area. Doug Burgum is perfect for this kind of job because he is able to deliver on the promises of drill, baby, drill. The whole idea of being energy independent requires that sort of mindset. And what does this matter about renaming the Gulf of America? Well, there's a huge amount of offshore oil in the former Gulf of Mexico because the Gulf itself is kind of shallow. It doesn't go really that deep. There's a larger case to be had that there's a ton of offshore oil, both on the United States side and on the Mexico side of the renamed Gulf of America. So that's why Burgum is on this flight, not just to show everyone that everything's being renamed properly. He's there to remind everyone that the whole goal is to make this area even more economically developed. He was able to oversee that in his time as governor of North Dakota and really didn't get in the way of anything, and was even able to work with the federal government. See, that's the other reason he's there. There's a whole lot of land up there outside of the national park. There's something called the Buffalo Grasslands. And that's the area where a whole lot of the shale oil is drilled and extracted. And so he's used to working with the federal government. He is used to working in that sort of capacity. And that's why I love it when governors come in and start working in the federal government as a part of the executive branch. So Donald Trump is picking up some of the Republicans' best and brightest because he already tapped the neighbor to the south, South Dakota, Kristi Noem, and they're doing already a phenomenal job. we are at a point where we're starting to see things move forward, and we're starting to see the economy slowly turn around. And this is only in the first couple of weeks of Trump's presidency, and so renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America is really just sort of a shift in mindset. So I love the direction things are going here, and of course, and as a final note, this was on Trump's way, I believe, to Super Bowl 59, and he is the first president to ever attend a Super Bowl. So yeah, I guess you could say America is back, baby. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl News. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.